everyone, welcome back. Had a haircut. Summertime, it's my yearly haircut. We're now at the end of March, so I thought we've had a few weeks of quiet whilst we've been busy working on the land, so I thought I'd go and give you a quick show of what we're doing. So this morning I've just spent the morning arguing with a rotavator for the tractor. Let me show you what my issue is. So with the PTO shaft connected, the arms aren't long enough. So what I actually need to do is cut the PTO shaft down. Can't be asked doing that today. So I'm going to take the PTO shaft off, put the mower on. That's a finisher and topper. The other mower I was using was a flail. This is a finisher and topper, so it gives you a smooth grass-like cut. Now that we've got sun and we've had a few days of rain, the grass is going incredibly green and really starting to grow in. It's starting to grow tufty, but nettles are starting to grow as well. So I'm going to put the finisher topper on. I'm going to go and blitz the land, get all it knocked down, stop the nettles growing through, and help the grass to actually thicken up and fill in the spots. I was going to plant some wildflowers today, but because I can't sort the rotavator out, I'll do that another day. So I'm just going to swap over, and when I get down towards the land, I'll show you some of the things we've been up to down there. So I'll be back shortly. Down as far as the land, I'll show you the first thing we're doing. Obviously, I think we showed you last time, we've been clearing this road, well, not road, but the access track, the footpath. We start shuttering off, getting ready for resurfacing. We've got a load of wood there for the resurfacing, some hardcore we've been using for levelling. That's the bridleway that I've not touched. I'm just leaving it as it is. All I'm going to do is mow this bit, and then at the bottom over there it gets overgrown, nothing to do with me. But let me just go forwards and show you around this corner. So hope the engine's not too loud for you, but as we come around this footpath now, you can see we are clear all the way across. And for those of you that don't know, the footpath runs 80 centimetres from that hedge this way. All of the rest of it is private property, but I still allow people to walk on all of the rest of it. But this is the only access track, so this is my legal access to the actual fields and the property. So I'm going to get down there into the fields, and I'll show you what we've been doing up there. So the joys of being along the riverside. Look, we've got a wide beam going up the river, heading towards Newark, up towards Farndon. Yeah, we're just enjoying this footpath, which I tell you now, I'm going to rename the whole thing to the Willows. The locals call it North Marsh, but North Marsh isn't the right wording because it's not supposed to be a marsh. So it's all going to be renamed the Willows. I've ordered some signs for it and everything on account of the fact that it's all willows, which are now coming into leaf, so everything's really nice and green. Nettles are getting a bit out of hand, so next week we're going to cut it all back again. Got to keep this short, because the more we keep it cut short, the more the grass comes through and the nettles don't. So yeah, we're going to just give this a going over next week. But yeah, apart from that, it's a glorious day. And so here we are at the end of the footpath. So this is where we move the gate to. You can see we've created this, which is going to be basically a turning circle for people for fishing the river. When I reopen that to the public, we're going to be rebuilding the pegs next. But this is my new access track that goes all the way in. It comes through the gate, goes all the way up to the lake here, so that we can get cars up to Access Lake. So let's show you. We've got some gabions that are going to be going in the lake to build out the pegs, some boarding, scaff bars that we're going to be using for feet for and yeah, we're sunking a French drain here that drains this bit where it was really boggy into this pond there, because, well, it's not a pond, it's just a hole. But what I'm doing is I'm clearing that out, and I'm going to be draining off into there, and hopefully that'll hold water and become like a marshland for newts and frogs and everything. The soil's clay enough that it should hold water over time, particularly when we have the floods. You can already see, well, you guys can't, but I can from here, but there's wet in the bottom where this drainage channel is doing its job. As you can see, all the grass is fully cut. And what we started doing is some of the excess mud that we're digging out of there, we started building a berm here along the edge. And what we're going to do is we're going to plant hedgerow along the fence, then grass seed the berm, and then hedgerow along the top, so we're going to have a 2-tier hedgerow there to encourage wild birds and wild native life, and that'll be stuff like hawthorn, hazel and everything. Yeah. But this is now this is where I was going to put my wildflowers in today. But I can't because of the PTO shaft on the rotavator being the wrong size. But you can see, just if you look back to the other video, just how green all of this is now. And this is all the grass starting to come through finally, because obviously me cutting it is keeping the nettles and the brambles knocked down. So now we're actually coming out really green. And earlier when I came down to drop the trail off for the guys, there was a load of geese sunbathing in the grass. So yeah, but the guys, we've got one team digging out the rest of the road, the other team are chipping all of the trees that we chopped down, because, well, we're not chopping trees, but it's all the dead branches. So the fisheries guys from AJS, they came out and did a survey of the lakes, obviously. I put a picture of the fish that we caught, a couple of big pike, but one of the issues we noticed is that there's no wind, even on a windy day, along the lakes, because the tree cover's that heavy. So what they suggested we do was thin out the tree cover at either end, so this end and that end, both lakes, to allow the wind to run down the lake. So what these guys have done, I don't know if you can see on this tree here, they've taken the lower branches off and we've taken a load of dead trees out and everything. It's really opened up the bottom of the lake, so you can actually see the full length of the lake now from that bottom end. And once we knock down all this bramble and everything as well, and all the bramble where they're currently chipping, that'll really start to come out nice, and hopefully let the wind along this lake, particularly once we open up at the other end. But yeah, so everyone's hard at work. I have my mower on the back, so I'm going to try and get all the way up the other end, because the top 3 acres need cutting. So I'm going to try getting up there, and I'll be back with you shortly. So this is an interesting area. This is where I'm going to put my picnic area. Now this was brambles, 30, 40 foot high. You can see they were all the way up in these trees, all the way up in the trees here, and very little grass. So that's where people were walking, but the actual footpath runs along here, along this bank top here, and behind to the right of that tree there. You can see as soon as we've cleared all this bramble and everything here, the villagers have started naturally taking this footpath again, because this is where the actual footpath should be. But unfortunately, this isn't grass. I was really hoping that as we cut the bramble back and as I mowed it and everything, this would come back grass. This is cow parsley and bramble and nettles, an awful lot of nettles. So this is all going to need rotavating, cordoning off, rotavating, reseeding to grass, and then afterwards kept on top of, and this should come back as a really nice grass after I've seeded it and rotavated it. And then I can put, I think I'm going to put probably 6 picnic benches, so like one a little bit up there, 2 here, a couple here, one maybe just in this corner here for a bit of shade, and yeah, make this a little picnic area where people can see out, because this is the most open area, so we can see out across the fields, and that's, you know, Lincolnshire way, and then across the river. All this will be chopped down eventually, all this bramble, so you can actually see the bank tops, because there is actually a fishing peg here, there's a fishing peg just there, there's a fishing peg just up there. Now these aren't going to be fished. If at some point I manage to get planning permission for a pontoon, this is where I'll run a 100-metre pontoon along here, and we'll onshore here so that people can stop by, come use the picnic area, get back on my travels, and then eventually all of this area will be fenced off, so people won't be going up there at all, and that'll be allowed to grow back into woodland. So that'll just be a little woodland area up there where I'll put some owl boxes and bat boxes and a few other bits and pieces to include some woodland wildlife. But you can see over here, this pile is just where we've cut it off, so we just get closer. So the tractor's so slow when it's on low RPM, but it's the only way you can hear it. So you can see all the bramble just literally in the tree, and this is, you know, 10, 12 foot up in the air, and this is how high the brambles were, all the way up here in the tree. This is the big pile of stuff, and all the way up here. It was ridiculous. This was just purely brambles, and now that we chopped it all back, it's just nettles. But yeah, I just want this area to be a really nice grassed area. It looks green, but that's just for nettles, but I want to get it back to grass, I want to level it out, and this is going to be my picnic area for the villagers and anyone walking the footpath to come and use. Obviously all that's going to be shut off. I'm not going to send the path down there, I'm going to send it up here, which is where I'm going now, because it's wider for vehicle access to the end of the river. But I'm going to also put, hopefully, this is the top of the embankment goes down and levels off before the water, so I'm hoping to put another access path down the side of the water's edge so you can get vehicles to the end without coming up here at all. So at this bit we're about 3/4 of the way up, maybe, or halfway up the second lake. But you can see we're quite close to the water, it's quite steep as a bank there, but not very much distance there between the footpath here. And then obviously I'm already on the top of the bank where it slopes down now. We cleared this bit to launch the boat for the inspection, and that was going to be a fishing peg for me, but we only found 3 fish in there, little pike, about that big. There's literally nothing of any decent size in there. But one of the things I was talking about with the EA is, instead of introducing fish to this lake, since the water quality is not horrible, but it's just there's no fish stocking in there, and it doesn't quite have as mature trees on that side or this side as the other lake. So one of the things we spoke about is cutting through the embankment here, and again a bit further up where it's narrow, and putting access tube in, quite big access tube, you know, like 3 foot wide piping all the way through and under, and linking this lake to the river. So as the river flows, it also puts water, I've got a bee, it also puts water into there, so we get a water change, which hopefully improve the water quality there. But importantly, what that will do is it'll act as a fish refuge. So when it's spawning season, like it is now, in the river's full of so many big fish, and we've got whales, catfish and otters and everything. If we put access grids on, so the fish come in for spawning a certain size, obviously we're not going to fit the big fish in, only the kind of smaller to middle-sized breeding fish. They come through, swim through, come in here, lay their eggs, lay the young, the big ones bugger off and leave the young in here. As the young grow up, they've got quite a fine mesh grid, and then can come back out through the tunnel into the river if they want, or they can stay there. So effectively what I get is I get a naturally stocked lake with the same water condition and quality as the river. Now what that does mean though is that if the river floods, river level raises, this level will also raise. But as you can see, we've got maybe a 10-15 foot bank here, and the river has never ever bridged this bank in like 35 to 40 years or whatever it is. So this has never flooded anyway, this area, so we should be fine letting that water level rise up. Now you can see that flat bit, that's where I want to make the access track that runs along the water's edge, but obviously that'll also end up underwater if we let the water level rise. So there's some things to consider, and the fisheries officer for the area from the EA, we've gone off to talk to a few other teams, because obviously it's their asset teams, they'd have to come out, they'd have to get plant down, they'd have to do it all. But I said to them, look, if you guys want to use this lake, feel free, because I have no plans to do anything with this lake at this time. I'm certainly not stocking it, because if it's completely dead, something's killed everything, be it an algae bloom, be it overpredation from otters or cormorants or herons, but something's killed everything in there. And right now I can only fish one lake at once, and the lakes are mostly going to be private and invite only, unlike the river. So yeah, the lakes aren't going to be heavily fished, so I'm only concentrating on the South Lake. This North Lake is doing nothing. So if the EA want this, I'm perfectly happy for the EA to use these lakes. So anyway, I'm going to get up there, get cutting, but this is one of the plans that we're looking at. So now you know a bit more about what we're thinking. So we are right at the top of the land now. That's Maggie's and Secret Barn Cafe, River Trent. And this border here is where my land finishes basically. We dug down, this was 40 foot high brambles, and we cleared it all. We've actually found that there was a sign there that said, you know, private property, but yeah, we couldn't even see it. You can actually see an old fence post on there, but we cleared it up, so that sign's going to come out. I've ordered a new sign to go here. We're going to eventually fence off here with a gate, but this is something I have to deal with. Don't know if you guys can see a little green bag just in there. One of the locals that disagrees with me buying the land, feels that he has an opinion over what people do with their private property, has decided that every time his dog takes a shit, he hangs his poo bags on a tree, or he leaves them right in the middle of the path, so that everyone has to walk around with his dog poo bags. Dirty little bastard, is all I can say about that. Really hope he's watching this. Reality is that we don't give a shit about anyone's opinions apart from their own, so I just have to literally go and clean up other people's shit. But yeah, that's it. So I knocked all this down with the flow the other day. You can still see it's a bit ropey and a bit hayy where I knocked it all down. I'm going to get over it now with this topper and go and turn this quite tufty, lumpy grass into quite a nice little field. At the end of the second lake, you can see I've got a lovely bit of water's edge there. You'll notice I put this fence up. There's actually a corresponding fence on the other side, and we've not cleared this at all, we just left it completely wild. It's because the deer like to sunbathe and hide in all this bramble, and we come in through this field here, which is a farmer's field, so it's very open. They come under the hedgerows and we go and hide up there. So we've left all that as a deer refuge, but I'm also ordered some signs because there is a badger's set about halfway up here, just 10 metres or so past this conifer thing here. There's a badger set down there that I don't know whether it's active or not, but what we've done is we've fenced it all off at both ends, all the way down to the water's edge, all the way up, and all we've done is just sank some posts in and some bit of 2B1. So this is something I don't think I've shown any of you guys yet. I think I might have mentioned it, but not shown you. So if any of you are up on your wildlife in this country, and particularly invasive species, you know that there is the North American stoat. It's invasive in the UK, and it's got real no predators. It's a member of the weasel family. They're quite small, I think 6 to 8 inches-ish, brown in colour, hide very well in our undergrowth, but they're good swimmers and they're incredibly fast. And what they do is they eat not only fish, but they destroy ducks and native bird populations. So when it's breeding season and you've got chicks on the go, they actually eat all the chicks. So a local guy who works for a conservation trust that manages these things, he actually conveniently lives in the village. He reached out to me and said, do you mind if I put a trap on your land? There are stoats known to be operating in this area. I've been trying to get a trap somewhere in this area, but no one's willing to let me. Do you mind? Yeah, sure, it's no bother to me. So he came out and he's put a trap down here for us. I'll just go this way, a little bit less steep. Now normally that floats, but obviously it's dried out. The lake's drying out because it's been warm, but there you go. That is what they're all about. If you want to find out more, not stoat, mink. Sorry, mink. Still, same thing, similar thing. So yeah, so we are trapping them, and that thing has a little GPS SIM card and everything. If anything goes in, it sends a signal to a guy, and he comes out and he can dispatch whatever's in there, just in case it catches anything native as well, like a water hen or something. You can come and let them out. But yeah, so that's that. So all in, guys, that's it. We've been a little bit busy. We've done a little bit of everything. We're slowly working through what we can as we can, taking advantage of the weather to do more stuff where it's drying out and less boggy, and then saving stuff that we know is dry even when it's wet to do on rainy days. But yeah, so we're getting there, and we're starting to see some of the fruits of our labour already, like the field of grass that I've just been cutting now. But that's no longer just a mess of brambles. It is full of wildlife and birds, and I've got pictures of a kestrel that's been visiting. I've got some sparrowhawks nesting in one of the trees. There's a pair of buzzards nesting in another couple of trees. So yeah, it's nice. We are on the right path. We're starting to see nature return, and you know, as we get on top of the land and we do more stuff on the land, plant more wildflowers, we're starting to see even more smaller birds, insects and bees and everything else. And I'm going to try and find out, get in touch with one of the trusts that deal with transplanting and rehabilitation of water vole, because whilst there are no trace of water vole anywhere around here, I'd really like to see some water vole because they're really good for the bankside. We dig holes in it, helps it aerate, helps it drain out, etc. So yeah, I would really love to get some water vole reintroduced into this area after we're sure there's none of these mink eating everything for us. But yeah, so anyway, Hope that keeps you guys updated. I think the next video will be a few weeks away, but I'll update you on, at that point, on the fishing side of things, when it's likely to be open, and how you're going to be able to gain access to fish it, because it will be open to YouTube viewers. But there's a catch: it's not going to be free. I'll explain it all in much more detail once I've fleshed it out and worked out how it's going to work, and I've written the mobile app to manage it. In the meantime, everyone, stay safe and enjoy the view. It is lovely out here. Take care all, and we'll see you later. Goodbye now.